This is the Valley Today.
New this morning, some major roads in Fargo will be a little bit wider after a big overnight cleanup.
We spotted more than a dozen vehicles on South University Drive just before midnight. If you were out driving late last night, you maybe saw this. Crews scoop up excess snow from the sides of the roads and pile it in a center ridge for several blocks.
Yeah, then two trucks work in tandem to pull that snow up from the ground, drop it into a dump truck, and then it gets hauled away to the landfill. It's called Mount Fargo. That's where all the snow goes for the season. And underneath all that snow on the roads and highways, there's still a lot of ice. Many people are wondering why? Well, the reason is just too cold and too windy.
Road crews tell us that the sand and salt often used to treat those slick surfaces don't work well in these extreme temperatures, and we've been experiencing that for the past several days. When the wind picks up, like during blizzard conditions, it blows that sand off the road anyway.
And sometimes that sand even works by polishing up that slick road, making it even worse. Bottom line, you need to take it easy.
Yeah, and we're going to be checking in with meteorologist Lisa Green for exactly what is on our map today. Good morning.
Good morning. You can see this huge areas under winter weather alerts here across much of the Midwest. Here in the valley, blizzard warning remains in effect. Jamestown down toward Ellendale and into the heart of the Red River Valley in this purple or pink area and stretching southward from there. This is in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. So expanding the view again, we're looking at those blizzard warnings continuing for parts of South Dakota, eastern North Dakota, stretching back through Minneapolis. So trying to travel through that area going to be very difficult. And Iowa, more areas in pink into the Great Lakes. And then the red area is a winter storm warning. That includes Chicago, one of our hub airports here for us in the valley. And so also included in that for impacts for us today. And this will be continuing on to the East Coast as well for those winter storm impacts. And of course, in addition to that, the Arctic air, the cold that we've been experiencing, that's been the overall tune that we've been singing this entire stretch of 4 days of first alert weather days, with changes in the weather in between. But the overall issue has been the cold. We've got a wind chill warning that is in effect here through tomorrow morning for a good portion of the valley. So speaking of wind, here's a look at our wind speed map. We've got winds coming in out of the northwest. They are gusting into the 30s, a 35-mile-per-hour gust in Fargo, in Fergus Falls, Detroit Lakes, gusting into the 30s. Sisseton has seen some strong gusts above 40 miles per hour. We're at 41 right now in Sisseton. So strong winds. We've got that recent light fluffy snow that's fallen since the big heavy wet snow we had last week. And that's enough to blow around and reduce our visibility. A lot of reports coming in between 1 and 2 miles at some of our airports in the region. And out in open areas, it will be even tougher. We'll have that drifting on the roads, slick conditions, low visibility, and hazardous wind chills for anybody thinking about traveling here today. Here's a look at the latest tri-state map. You can see that it's fairly quiet as far as additional snow is concerned. There are a few flakes that might be affecting places up by Lake of the Woods, but beyond that, it's really the blowing snow that's our factor here. And then if you run into problems with blowing snow, your wind chills are going to be on that dangerous range here. We're looking at 30s and 40s below again this morning. 38 below in Fargo, your wind chill. We're as low as 44 below in Langdon. So right now, it's actually looking somewhat okay on our view on our camera here in Fargo. Again, being in town is going to be a little bit deceiving with this. It's a ground blizzard situation. So it may feel and look okay in town, but the second you get out into the open, you're running into that shallow layer of blowing snow that will reduce your visibility significantly. We're at 11 below in Fargo, 9 below in Grand Forks. And again, looking at some frigid air today, our stretch of sub-zero temperatures continues through the rest of the day with that blowing snow kind of reducing our visibility and continuing on into tonight. So winds will stay strong into the late night hours. And so that means pretty much all day long, first alert weather day with that threat for ground blizzard conditions. So when I come back, we're going to get into the details on the timing of the wind, because that will have a direct impact on travel and how conditions will be for you out on the roads here in the coming days. And of course, a look at your Christmas forecast too. Let you know if we've got some improvement coming our way.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, that ground blizzard can be so deceiving, because if you're blocked from the wind, you got what's going on. But then as soon as you step around it.
Yeah, exactly. So keep that in mind. If you're in town, it's going to be a tough day driving around in town, but it's for anybody who's planning to travel. That's what really is going to be hardest for folks here for today. So please be careful. And if you don't have to go anywhere, it's just best to stay home and stay warm today.
Yeah, all right. Agreed. Christmas vacation coming early for more than a dozen schools around the valley that were still in session today. We're hearing from 16 districts or colleges that are shutting down today, all because of this weather.
Yeah, that includes NDSU, UND, Valley City State, Mayville State, NDSCS in Wahpeton, MSCTC in Moorhead and Fergus Falls, as well as Barnesville and Breckenridge Public Schools. There are others. Make sure to check with your district. We have them at the bottom of your screen right now, or go to valleynewslive.com. It's also another day of canceled flights in and out of the valley, so make sure you keep tabs on your air travel plans. Some morning flights out of Hector and North Fargo are scrubbed, and there are more likely as the day goes on.
Total flight cancellations within, into, or out of the United States today have already surpassed the total for all of yesterday, according to FlightAware tracking. The number, around 2,700 flights so far this morning. Some weather experts are calling this a once-in-a-generation kind of winter storm. Out on the roads, it may look like a typical Northland winter this morning, but conditions across North Dakota and Minnesota expected to worsen all ahead of Christmas Eve.
Yeah, reporter Kara Kopp spoke with state troopers about being prepared just in case.
I mean, I know people have plans and this is an important time of year, so we just ask drivers if they decide to go out and drive on the road, just make sure that they give themselves time.
Dangerous winds and blowing snow is expected to make whiteout conditions ahead of the holidays, creating what is known as a ground blizzard. Visibility on roads around the state will be significantly impacted. Minnesota State Patrol officers said if you have to drive, just be prepared.
So just make sure you have warm clothing, extra blankets, some things that aren't going to go bad food-wise. Think of like your granola bars, have some bottles of water, just some things like that, crackers, things that aren't going to spoil in your vehicle.
We'll make sure that you increase your following distance. 8 to 10 seconds behind the car in front of you is a good rule of thumb. Try to avoid using cruise control. Drive in the lane that's been plowed, avoid using the passing lane, and just kind of plan ahead to have extra time to make it so you don't need to use that passing lane.
Pictures from out in the country say it all, and this kind of trouble is moving right here into the valley. Video from the South Dakota Department of Public Safety illustrate the near total lack of visibility across many roadways.
In North Dakota, I-94 closed from Jamestown to well into Montana, and just about everywhere else in the state there is a no travel advisory right now. We will check on those maps here in just a couple of minutes. Still to come though this Friday morning, a sing-along with Grandma Dorothy that you don't want to miss. One Minnesota woman living with dementia is bringing joy to all who hear her music.
Yes, that heartwarming holiday story. And up next, weather to plan out your day. You see that wind just shaking our sky cram across Fargo.